The Bible declares that we should trust in the Lord with all our hearts, leaning not on our own understanding, but in all our ways we should acknowledge him, and he would direct our paths. How can one tell that they are being led by the Spirit of God? How do you know that you are being led by the Spirit of God? When the Spirit of God is in charge, when the Spirit of God is in full control, when the Spirit of God is leading, there is always a shift in direction. Instruction and direction are never the same. There is always a shift. I was just going back to Moses. A couple, and I was discussing right after praise and worship. And she was telling me about Moses being too confined and reliant on the rod that God has instructed him to use. And when you think about it, when Moses first had the encounter with God, God asked him, "What do you have in your hand?" And it was the rod. That rod he laid on the floor and it turned into a snake. The same rod he used to change the entire pool, river, the entire water into blood in Egypt. It was the same rod that parted the Red Sea. Moses got too confined to that rod to the extent that when God needed him to use his voice instead, he used the rod. When God wanted him to speak to the rock, he went and struck using the rod again. Whenever you find yourself in a pattern, whenever you find yourself in a routine, whenever you find yourself in a state of this is how it is done, that is a red flag for you to know that you're either not being led by God or by the Spirit of God, or you may want to go back and check yourself, because that's religion. When you find yourself saying that this is how we've always do it, this is how it works, this is what we've always known, and that's how we're going to do it, you are practicing religion. And you want to make sure you check yourself that you're not leading yourself. Even Jesus, who was 100% man and God, relied on the Holy Spirit. It was never a routine. Even when it comes to healing, it was never a routine. At one point, he sent the word by somebody else to go and heal someone. At another point, he asked the person to go and jump into the river for their healing. At one point, he spit on the ground and put the mud on somebody else's face. At another point, he laid hands, the hem of his garment, healing people. It was never the same routine. So whenever you find yourself confined to a certain way of doing things, or this is how I know it should be done, or this is how, it's a red flag for you to check yourself and see if indeed God is leading you. Joshua, we all know about Joshua, a great man of battle. I could just imagine the face of Joshua when God actually told him about his plan for Jericho. This is a God that actually strategized to see how best he can attack his enemies. He sent in spies to see the people that he's going against and come up with a plan to defeat these people. And can you imagine God telling him, no, this time around, you guys are not going to fight. You're going to walk around the wall of Jericho praising me, and you're going to shout 7 times. I can just imagine the look on his face. But that's what happens when you are being led by the Spirit of God. The direction, the instruction shift when the Spirit of God is in control. So if you find yourself within a routine, if you find yourself within, this is how we do it here, this is how it's done here, you may want to check yourself. Because when the Bible says that we should lead, we should acknowledge the Lord in all our ways and lean not on our own understanding, you will never understand the move and the leadership of the Holy Spirit. All you have to do is have faith and move when he say move. So if you want to know if you are being led by the Spirit of God, check and see how much of what you're doing is actually your knowledge. Check and see how much of what you're doing, if it's what you've done previously that worked for you. Have a blessed one. Yield your all to the Spirit of God. Good night.